Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel Creative Grandma. This is part 2 of the Crocheted Snowman. Now this video is sponsored by Hobbii. Hobbii sent me all the materials that I needed to make this little snowman so I could do the crochet tutorial for you. Now I'll have a link to the Crocheted Snowman free pattern. It's a free pattern that you can download right to your computer from Hobbii's website, and everything that you need for this little snowman project you can order from Hobbii's. This video is just a collaboration between Hobbii and Creative Grandma to celebrate Christmas with Hobbii, to give you some inspiration for some holiday crochet projects. So this is what we are starting. This is what we did in part 1 of the tutorial. Now the tutorials are very detailed because as I'm doing this tutorial, because it's not my pattern, it's written in a way that I'm not used to. So I'm going line by line through the pattern, showing you how to read the pattern and at the same time how to make your snowman. So it's a little more detailed than most of my videos. So for my more experienced crocheters, you can go ahead and print the pattern out and just make the snowman. And for the people who need help, I hope you enjoy learning how to read the instructions as you're making your snowman. So let's go ahead and look at what we've done so far. When you're looking at the instruction sheet, now in part 1 we went over everything that you need to make the snowman, and you can click back and find that video and watch that tutorial if you have not seen it yet. We already did the first page of the instructions. And then we worked our way down through the second page of instructions, and there's 4 pages of instructions, so we did the majority of the project already. So now we are at this point where you can see the little snowman, so that is where we're at on the project. So now for this video, we're going to learn how to make the hat. So there's a picture of the hat. Then we're going to make the little nose, and I'm sorry, there's 5 pages of instructions. And then we make the little scarf. And then you can see how the project finishes up by putting that scarf, adding the little smile, and putting a little pink rosy color in the snowman's cheeks. Now, if you did not get the pattern, you can go ahead and click that link. I have the link in the description box underneath the video. It's a free pattern. You can print it right out and follow along with the video. So now we're going to get started with part 2. So let me zoom up on the instructions. To begin part 2, we're going to start with the hat. So you're going to need your black yarn, and you're going to need your crochet hook. Now I am using a size C2 or 2.75 millimeter. Now your C2 might be a 2.5 millimeter. So either or, you can use a B1 or a C2, whichever you prefer. I think the C2 works better. So grab your black yarn, grab your hook, and let's get our hat started. Now when you're reading the instructions for round 1, it's going to say make a magic ring and work 6 single crochet into the ring. Now I've told everyone I don't do a magic ring. I just do a double knot, I chain 2, and then I work my 6 single crochet into the ring. So if you prefer a magic ring, then go ahead, make your magic ring, and then work your 6 single crochet. But I am going to do it the way my gram taught me. That's how I do it. So to begin the hat, again, the instructions are telling you to make a magic ring and work 6 single crochet into the ring. Now because I don't do the magic ring, I just start with a double knot. I just tie my yarn around the hook with 2 knots, and then I chain 2. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the loop on your hook, and that creates your first chain. Now black is really hard to see when you're filming. Yarn over, pull through, that creates your second chain. Now I'm going to skip that first chain, and I'm going to insert into that second chain and work all 6 of my single crochet into that same chain. Yarn over, pull through, I have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That is my first single crochet. Now we're going to work 5 more single crochet into that same chain. Insert into that chain, work a second single crochet, insert back into that same chain, and I'm sorry the black yarn is so hard to see. Work a single crochet. That is 3 of 6. Insert back into that same chain, work a single crochet. That is 4 of 6. Insert back into that same chain, work a single crochet. That is 5 of 6. And it's really hard when you're starting and the item is so small, it's hard to grab a hold of, so thank goodness I have fingernails. Insert back into that same chain and work your 6 single crochet. So when you look at your work, you're going to see the top of your stitches, and I know it's really hard to see, but make sure you have 6 single crochet around. So now you want to take your instruction sheet and you're just going to check off that round 1 is finished. This is the best way to keep track of what you're doing when you have so many different rounds to do. So now we're ready to begin round 2, where round 2 we're going to work 2 single crochet in each stitch around. We're increasing by 6 stitches. So we're going to have a total of 12 stitches at the end of round 2. So let's begin round 2. Now for this round you're going to need a stitch marker, and yes, I'm still using my giant stitch marker. Now again, this is really hard to see, so I'm just going to try to talk you through it. You have 6 single crochet. Now I did not mark my first stitch, so I'm going to count backwards from the last stitch. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 6th stitch is over here, so I'm going to insert into the very first stitch that I made for this round. So just try to find that first stitch. I know it's really hard to see with this black yarn. I'm going to insert into that first stitch. You're going under the top 2 loops, work 2 single crochet. That's 1 single crochet, and right after I make the first single crochet, I'm going to insert my stitch marker right into that stitch. That way you know where your row ends and where it begins. Insert back into that same stitch, work your 2nd single crochet. Insert into the next stitch. Again, you're going under the top 2 loops, work 2 single crochets. 1, and 2. I was trying to get right underneath the light, but it's just impossible to see these stitches. Insert into the next stitch and work 2 single crochet. 1, and 2. Find your next stitch, insert into that next stitch, work 2 single crochet. 1, and 2. So we have 2 stitches to go. Insert into the next stitch, work 2 single crochet. 1, and 2. We have 1 stitch remaining. It's really hard to see, but it's right here. Insert into that next stitch and work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your 2nd single crochet. It's hard to see on video, and it's hard for me to see because I have trouble working with black yarn. Now when you start with your last stitch and count back, you should have a total of 12 single crochet, and then you're back over where your first stitch was, where you have your stitch marker. So go ahead and grab your instruction sheet and check off round number 2 is finished. So now we're going to begin round number 3. Round number 3, it says to work 1 single crochet, which you're going to work that into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that around, so we're increasing by 6 stitches, so you're going to have a total of 18 single crochet at the end of round 3. So let's go ahead and begin round 3. To begin round 3, we're going to start right into that first stitch where we have the stitch marker. Insert your hook into that stitch and make sure you're going under both of those top 2 loops. So I need to get a hold of that so I can get under both of those top 2 loops. And you're going to work 1 single crochet. And then you're just going to move your stitch marker up and you're going to put it right into that first stitch that you just made. So now we're going to work 2 single crochet into the next stitch. So find your next stitch, and again we're working under the top 2 loops. Work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. Let's do it again. Find your next stitch, insert into that stitch, work 1 single crochet. Then into the next stitch, and again I have to apologize, it's really hard to see the stitches. It's right here. Insert into that next stitch, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. Let's do it one more time together. You're going to insert into the next stitch and work 1 single crochet. Insert into the next stitch and work 2 single crochets. 1. Insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. So go ahead and continue and work 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that around and I'll meet you at the end of round 3. I'm over at the end of round 3, and even though it's really hard to see the stitches, you should have a total of 18 single crochet around your work, and you should end with 2 single crochet into that last stitch, and you're back over to your beginning stitch where you have your stitch marker. So now we're just going to check off that round 3 is finished. Now we're going to begin round 4. Round 4 states work 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches or in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that around. We're increasing by 6 more stitches, and we're going to have a total of 24 single crochet at the end of round 4. So let's begin the repeat. So we're going to insert right where we have the stitch marker and work 1 single crochet. Then I'm going to move my stitch marker up to that first stitch. Very important that you're using stitch markers so you know where you start and where you stop a row. So insert right into that first stitch. We're going to single crochet into the very next stitch, going under the top 2 loops. Work a single crochet. Into the next stitch, we're going to work 2 single crochet. Insert into that stitch, work your first single crochet. Insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. And what's nice when you're using these stitch markers, it helps me grab a hold of that to hold on to my work. Let's do the repeat again. Insert into the next stitch, work 1 single crochet. Insert into the next stitch, work 1 single crochet. Insert into the next stitch, and we're going to work 2 single crochet into that same stitch. There's 1. Insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. Let's do it one more time together. Insert into the next stitch, work 1 single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, and then into the next stitch, work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. So go ahead and continue. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 4. I'm over at the end of round 4. We worked 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. We worked that around, and now you should have a total of 24 single crochet stitches around your work. So go ahead and check off round number 4 is finished. So now for round number 5, we're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that around. We're increasing by 6 more stitches, and you're going to have a total of 30 single crochet at the end of round 5. So let's begin round 5. Insert into that first stitch where you have your stitch marker. Work 1 single crochet. Then move that stitch marker up to your first stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. That is 2 of 3, and then single crochet into the next stitch, and that is 3 of 3. Now we're going to work 2 single crochet into the next stitch, insert under the top 2 loops, work 2 single crochet, 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet, and that is the end of the repeat. Let's do the repeat again. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the next. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That is 1 of 3. Single crochet into the next stitch. That is 2 of 3. Single crochet into the next stitch. That is 3 of 3. And then you're going to work your 2 single crochet into the next stitch. That's 1. Insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue and work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the next. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 5. I'm over at the end of round 5. I now have a total of 30 single crochet stitches around. We worked 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. You end with 2 single crochet into the last stitch, and you're back over to your beginning stitch. So go ahead and check off round 5 is finished. Now for round 6, it says work 1 single crochet in back loop around. Now with these type of instructions, I get frustrated because if you're a new crocheter, you get frustrated with instructions that don't specifically spell it out for you. So what this means is you're going to work 1 single crochet in the back loop of each stitch around. So you're going to keep the same stitch count. So if you weren't sure, then try to look at the stitch count at the end of the instructions, and you'll see that it's the same stitch count as the round before. That way you know that you're working 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So let's go ahead and begin round 6. Now for round 6, hopefully you can see this. You have your front loop, you have 2 loops on the top of your stitch. I'm going to use my hook and separate that. You have your front loop, which is in the front, and then your back loop back here. We're going into this back loop only right back here, and that's the loop we're going to work in each stitch around. So insert into the back loop of that very first stitch. Again, this is the front loop here in front, and we're only working into the back loop. And you're just going to work a regular single crochet into that back loop. Then move your stitch marker up to that first stitch. Now go to your next stitch, and I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm having trouble seeing it on my monitor. Here is the front loop, and then back here is the back loop. Insert into that back loop only, work your single crochet. Go to the next stitch and you're going into the back loop only. Here's the front loop, and then insert your hook right between the front loop and back loop. And then you take your hook from front to back, right underneath that back loop, work your single crochet. Insert under the back loop of the next stitch, work a single crochet. Insert under the back loop of the next stitch, work a single crochet. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's just putting a nice little ridge around your work. So go ahead and continue and work one single crochet into the back loop of each stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 6. I'm over at the end of round 6. We worked one single crochet into the back loop of each stitch around. You have a total of 30 stitches, and hopefully you can see it has a little ridge around the work. You end with a single crochet into the last stitch, and then you're back over to your stitch marker. So now you can check off round 6 is finished. So now for round 7, you're going to see that the BLO is not in the instructions anymore, so you're going to go back to working under the top 2 loops. We're going to work one single crochet in each stitch around, and we're going to keep the same stitch count of 30 stitches. So let's begin round 7. For round 7, you're going to insert your hook under both of those top 2 loops, work a single crochet. Then you're going to move your stitch marker up to that first stitch. Insert your hook under the top 2 loops of the next stitch, work a single crochet. And again, this round you're working under both of those top 2 loops. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work one single crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 7. I'm over at the end of round 7. We just worked one single crochet in each stitch around. You should have a total of 30 stitches, and you're back over to where your starting stitch marker is. So now we're just going to take our instruction sheet. You're going to check off round 7 is finished. So now to continue, you're just going to repeat round 7 2 more times. So if you need help, just click back on the video, start where round 7 starts, and just repeat it 2 more times, working one single crochet in each stitch around. I'll meet you at the end of round 9. I'm over at the end of round 9. This is what your work should look like. You should have a total of 30 stitches around, and you worked over until you got back to your beginning stitch, and you worked round 7 2 more times, so you're at the end of round 9. So I already checked off 8 and 9. So now we're ready to begin round 10. We're going to work one single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to work 2 single crochet together and decrease by 1 stitch. We're going to repeat that around, and we're decreasing by 6 stitches. So we'll have a total of 24 single crochet when we're done with round 10. So let's begin round 10. Insert into that very first stitch where you have your stitch marker, work one single crochet. That is one of 3. Move your stitch marker up to that first stitch. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That is 2 of 3. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet, and that is 3 of 3. Now we're going to work 2 single crochet together, decrease by 1 stitch across the next 2 stitches. Insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. You made your 2 single crochet together and you decreased by 1 stitch. That is the end of the repeat. Let's do the repeat again. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That is 1 of 3. Single crochet into the next stitch. That's 2 of 3. Single crochet into the next stitch, and that is 3 of 3. Now we're going to work 2 single crochet together across the next 2 stitches and decrease by 1 stitch. Insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And that is the end of the repeat. So if you need additional help, just click back on the video. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. Then you're going to work 2 single crochet together in the next 2 stitches, decreasing by 1 stitch. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 10. I'm over at the end of round 10. I just worked my last 2 single crochet together across the last 2 stitches. I have a total of 24 stitches around, and I did not read far enough in the instructions that it's telling you to switch to white for your next round. So what I'm going to have you do is just rip out that last 2 double crochet together that you made, and you're going to have 2 stitches remaining. So what I like to do is I like to join my new color before I pull the last loop through. So let me go ahead and walk you step by step on how to do that. You're going to insert into the next stitch. You're going to yarn over and pull through. Insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. I'm just going to lay this down a minute, and I'm going to grab my white yarn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tie a double knot around my black thread, my yarn. Now you can join whichever way you prefer when you're working on a pattern, when it tells you to switch your color. Now this will be on the inside of the hat, so that's why I'm doing it this way. And just slide that white down to your current work. Once you have your white attached, you're going to yarn over and pull through with your white. So it finishes the last stitch, the top of the last stitch in black, and then it has the white to start your new stitch. So I'm going to leave both strands attached, but we're only going to use the white. We're only working 1 round in white, so then we'll fasten off the white and then we'll just pick up our black and continue on. So we're going to grab our instructions and check off that round 10 is finished. And then round 11 is going to tell us to switch to white. Well, we just done that. And now we're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and we're going to have the same stitch count of 24 stitches. So let's begin round 11. For round 11, you're going to insert into that very first stitch that has the stitch marker. You're just going to drop the black yarn and let it hang behind your work. You're going to work with the white strand, and you're going to work a single crochet into that first stitch. Then you're going to move your stitch marker up to that first stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet into the next stitch. And continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around your work, and I'll meet you at the end of round 11. I'm over at round 11. We worked 1 single crochet in each stitch. and we have one stitch remaining. So if you worked into that last stitch, go ahead and rip it out. We have to switch back to our black. So sorry, I forgot to mention that to stop before the last stitch. You're going to insert your hook into the last stitch using your white, yarn over, and pull through. Then you're going to drop your white, grab your black, and yarn over with the black and pull through the 2 white loops. And you can see how your stitch finished in white and your black is ready to go for the next stitch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to fold this over, and we're done with the white. So I'm just going to take my white strand. I'm just going to cut my yarn. Now, because this will be on the wrong side inside the hat, that's why I'm doing it this way. I just tie a double knot to make sure it doesn't come out. And then I'm just going to clip these ends down a little bit. And I'm not even weaving them in. They'll be up inside the hat. So go ahead, take your instruction sheet and check off round 11 is finished. So now when you look at round 12, it says switch to black, so we just done that. And now we're just going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, just like we did in the last round, only we're using black. And it tells us we're going to repeat that around, and we're going to have the same stitch count of 24 stitches. So let's begin round 12. Round 12, you're going to insert into that very first stitch where you have your stitch marker, and I'm working under the top 2 loops unless otherwise specified. You're going to work a single crochet. Then you're going to move your stitch marker up to that very first stitch. And then we're going to continue working 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue and work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 12. I'm over at the end of round 12. We worked 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I'm back over to my very first stitch. So I'm going to grab my instructions, and we're going to check off round 12 is finished. So now for round 13. So reading round 13, it tells us to chain 2. Well, it doesn't tell me whether to join the round here. So I am going to join into my very first stitch with a slip stitch because I want to start in that first stitch. So we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch even though it doesn't tell me to. And then we're going to chain 2, which will count as the first half double crochet. We're going to work 2 half double crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to start our repeat by working 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 half double crochet into the next stitch. And this is where it may confuse my new crocheters because it's in parentheses, you may think that you have to do these 2 sets of stitches in the same stitch. They don't separate it with 1 half double crochet into the next stitch and then 2 half double crochet into the next stitch. So how you can tell what you're supposed to do is always look at your stitch count right here. So I can tell that this is worked in 1 stitch and this is worked in the other because it's 2 stitches and you're adding a stitch every 2 stitches. So that would give you 12 extra stitches. So if you add the 12 stitches to the 24, then you're going to have 36 stitches. So that's how you can tell if you're not sure when you're reading a pattern. So let's go ahead and begin round 13. So again, it just tells us to chain 2 right here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go over into my very first stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch, and you can do it whichever way you prefer. I'm just going to slip stitch the round together, and then I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and I know it's hard to see the black, but I'm just going to insert it right into that top chain, the second chain. Next, we're going to work 2 half double crochet into this next stitch. You're going to yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. That's how you make a half double crochet. Again, you're going to yarn over, insert into that same stitch, yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That's how you make a half double crochet. So now we're ready to begin our repeat. Our repeat, we're going to work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 half double crochet into the next stitch. Yarn over, insert into that next stitch, work 2 half double crochets. 1, yarn over, insert back into that same stitch, work your second half double crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it again. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, and work 1 half double crochet. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, and work 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. Let's do it one more time. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, and work 1 half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, insert into the next stitch, and work 2 half double crochet. That's 1. Yarn over, insert back into that same stitch, work your second half double crochet. So go ahead and continue and work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, 2 half double crochet into the next stitch, repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 13. I'm over at the end of round 13. This is what your work should look like. You should have a total of 36 stitches, counting that beginning chain 2. And now we're just going to finish with a slip stitch into the top of that beginning chain 2. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker out, insert into the top of that beginning chain 2, and then slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook. So now round 13 is finished. So go ahead, take your sheet, and check off round 13 is finished. So when you read round 14 instructions, it's going to tell you to make 1 chain. So we're going to chain 1. Now this tells us to work 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Well, this first single crochet must be started in the first stitch where you have your stitch marker, or the pattern won't come out. So make sure that you start your pattern in the first stitch. We're going to repeat that around, and we're going to finish with a slip stitch into the top of our beginning single crochet. So let's go ahead and begin round 14. For round 14, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to insert back into that same chain right where we slip stitched, work a single crochet. That is 1 of 2. You're going to insert into the very next stitch, and the very next stitch, you'll see a little space here is right above that space. Insert under the top 2 loops, work your single crochet. That is 2 of 2. Now we're going to work 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Insert into the next stitch and work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. So let's do the repeat again. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Single crochet into the next stitch, and then into the next stitch, work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. And that is the end of the repeat. Let's do it one more time together. Insert into the next stitch, work 1 single crochet. Insert into the next stitch, work 1 single crochet. Insert into the next stitch and work 2 single crochets. 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. And that is the end of the repeat. So go ahead and continue and work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 14. I'm over at the end of round 14. Now I did forget to move my stitch marker up, so I'm sorry I forgot to tell you that. So when you're working around, if you're new to crocheting, you're going to end with 2 single crochet into the last stitch, and then you're going to see what I call the joining bar. This happens when you slip stitch around together. So we're going to skip that joining bar. We're going to skip that beginning chain 1. We're going to insert our hook under the top 2 loops of that first single crochet stitch, and then slip stitch around together. Now the instructions are telling us to cut the yarn and weave in the ends. So when you fasten off, I just want to make a point here about when you're using a yarn needle to weave in ends. If you cut the end too small, it's hard to maneuver a yarn needle because it is a couple inches long. So keep that in mind when you're fastening off. I always like to cut a really long length, so I cut at least, I'd say 18 inches. That's too much, but at least it's better to have too much yarn than not enough. Very easy to weave in the ends when you have that extra yarn. Now you can fasten off whichever way you prefer. I chain 2. And then I pull my hook up, yarn out, I grab, I pinch, I pull it down, and be careful how hard you pull because you don't want to break your thread. And then we're just going to take our yarn needle, thread that end into the eye of the needle, and then just flip your hat on the wrong side. And it's really hard to see with black yarn. I'm so glad we are done with the black. And you're just going to weave it in through the back of those stitches. Just take it through several of the stitches. And then what I like to do is I skip 1 stitch and then I bring it back through in the opposite direction. And I know it's really hard to see what I'm doing with black yarn, but I just want to give you an idea of what to do. And then pull it through. And then you can just clip your end. And again, these white ends I'm just going to leave right inside the hat because you won't see them. Now, I'm a very tight crocheter, so your hat may look a little bigger, a little different, but this is what it should look like. Now, I'm not far enough in the instructions. I would think that you would stuff this before you attach it to the snowman, but we'll find that out when we get to that portion of our snowman. So let's set the hat aside. So grab your instructions, and now you can check off that round 14 is finished and we are done with our hat. So I'm just going to set the hat aside and grab your next sheet of instructions. So the next sheet of instructions, you're going to see that our hat is finished, and now we're going to start the nose. So you're going to need your orange yarn, and we're going to start in round 1. It tells you to make a magic ring and then work 4 single crochet into the ring for a total of 4 single crochet stitches. Well, again, I don't do the magic ring, so I chain 2 and work my 4 single crochet into the second chain from hook. So it's all up to you and how you want to do it. You can do it with the magic ring if that's the way you prefer, or you can do it the way I do mine. It's all up to you. So grab your orange, grab your hook, and let's begin the nose. So I have my orange, and isn't it amazing how nice it looks when you're using a different color than black? Black is just a hard color to film. So with our orange, you're going to make a magic ring, or you can chain 2. I'm going to chain 2. Yarn over, pull through the loop on my hook. That's my first chain, and then yarn over and pull through, and that's my second chain. I'm going to skip the first chain into the second chain from hook. I'm going to work 4 single crochet. Yarn over, pull through that chain. I have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That's a single crochet. That is 1 of 4. Insert back into that same chain, work my second single crochet. Now I'm not using a stitch marker into that first stitch because I would have trouble getting the rest of my stitches in my work. So that's 2 of 4. Insert back into that same chain, and then just try to hold on to it, make your 3rd single crochet, and then insert back into that same chain and work your 4th single crochet. So round 1 is finished. So go ahead, take your sheet and check off round 1 of the nose is finished. So now for round 2, it tells us to work 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that around. You're going to increase by 2 stitches, and you're going to have a total of 6 single crochet. You just want to count back 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will be your first stitch that you're going to work in. So again, you're just going to take your hook and count backwards, 1, 2, 3, and right where my finger is 4. Insert into the top of that stitch, and you want to grab both of those top 2 loops. And let me see if I can pull them apart so you can see them. There are the top 2 loops. So we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then go ahead and put your stitch marker into that first stitch just to help you know where you are. And then you're going to go over to your next stitch, which is right here. And it's really hard when you're doing these little pieces. Just take your time, insert under the top 2 loops, and work 2 single crochet into this next stitch. There's 1. Insert back into that same stitch, going under the top 2 loops, work your second single crochet. Insert into the next stitch, and we're going to work 1 single crochet. And then into the next stitch, right here, my stitch marker's in the way, you're going to have your last stitch right here, insert under the top 2 loops, and work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. Now what's going to happen is it's going to want to go down in like a ball, and it's going to want the wrong side facing, so you have to make sure that you're pushing it so the right side is out. So just make sure you use your fingers and keep that right side out. So we are back over to our first stitch where we have our stitch marker. So now you can check off that round 2 of the nose is finished. So now for round 3, it says work single crochet around, which means you're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around. You're going to have the same stitch count of 6 stitches as the last round. So let's begin round 3. For round 3, you're going to insert into the first stitch where you have your stitch marker, work a single crochet. Then move that stitch marker up to that very first stitch that you just made. So we have 6 stitches around, so that is the first of the 6 stitches. Insert into the next stitch, and remember the stitch is going to pull because we're working in the round. Make sure you skip that first stitch that you worked in. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That's 2 of 6. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That's 3 of 6. Just work your way around, and again, it wants to go inside out, so make sure you keep pushing that right side out. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That is 4 of 6. Insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. That's 5 of 6. And then into the last stitch, insert under the top 2 loops, work a single crochet, and that is 6 of 6. So again, it keeps wanting to go inside out, so just use your fingers and just push that right side out again. And just keep doing that as you're working on your nose. So now we're going to check off that round 3 of the nose is finished. So we have one more round for the nose. So now for round 4, I was doing the video and I realized there was a mistake in the pattern. So I'm not sure if the mistake is here or if the mistake is in the stitch count. So let me explain what happens when you're working on a pattern and it just isn't quite right. Now this is telling us to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and 2 single crochet into the next stitch, which this is a total of 3 stitches that you're working in when you're working around. So if you repeat this around, you're only going to have an increase of 2 stitches, not 3. So this should be an 8 instead of a 9. So what I'm thinking is, because the end of the nose, you want it to be a little bit bigger, I'm thinking this is the correct number of stitches at 9, and this 2 should not be there. So I'm going to cross out that 2 because I believe that is wrong, and then I'm going to show you what I mean. So this is how you learn when you're crocheting. When you read the instructions, again, it's telling us to work 1 single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches and then 2 single crochet into the next. Well, we have a total of 6 stitches around, so this would only increase by 2 stitches. So if you change the instructions so it comes out to a total of 9 stitches, then you would single crochet into the first stitch, 2 single crochet into the next, and you would repeat that in the 6 stitches across, which would give you an increase of 3 stitches for a total of 9 stitches. So I do believe that that 2 is an error in the pattern, and we're going to go where we have a total of 9 stitches, so the end of our nose is nice and round. To begin round 4, you're going to insert into that very first stitch that you have your stitch marker, and you're going to work 1 single crochet. And then just move that stitch marker up to that first stitch. So when you're working, just try to flatten this out with your fingers so you can find that next stitch. Insert under the top 2 loops of the next stitch and work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. That is the end of the repeat. And I'm just going to work around and flatten this out. Insert into the next stitch and work 1 single crochet. Then turn and then just flatten it out as you're going so you can find those stitches better. Insert into the next stitch under the top 2 loops and work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. We have 1 repeat to go. You're going to insert into the next stitch and work 1 single crochet. And then into this last stitch, you're going to work 2 single crochet. Insert under the top 2 loops and work 2 single crochet. 1, insert back into that same stitch, work your second single crochet. Now it does not say to slip stitch the round together, but I'm going to go ahead because I like this to be pulled down so it's even with the first stitch. I'm going to insert into that first stitch where I have my stitch marker. I'm going to yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on my hook. So we're going to remove the stitch marker, and then we're going to fasten off our work, leaving a long tail to sew our nose onto our snowman. So I always suggest leaving a really long length. So I'm going to leave, what is that, about 18 inches, 16 to 18 inches. And then I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook out, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and again, be very careful how tight you're pulling it. It creates a secure knot. And then when I sew this on, that'll just be pulled down under. So there, our little nose is finished. So grab your sheet and check off round 4 is finished. So our nose is finished, and now we're going to start our scarf. So now we're ready to begin our scarf. So we're going to be using red or whichever color you prefer for the scarf, and it's telling us to cast on 70 chains. So grab whatever color you want to use, grab your hook, and let's get our scarf started. For our scarf, I already have my red attached to my hook with a double knot, and you can join your yarn in whichever way you prefer. To begin the scarf, it's telling us to chain 70. So when you attach your yarn, this does not count as a chain. You're going to yarn over the hook and pull it through that loop. This creates your first chain. So that is 1, yarn over, pull through, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, continue until you have 70 chains, and I'll be back and we'll start row 1. I'm back. I have my 70 chains made. So I'm going to grab the instructions. Now when I'm reading the instructions, it says step number 2, we're going to work 1/2 double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, and then it's telling you to work a double crochet for the rest of the row. Well, I worked ahead because when I was looking at the scarf on the photo, it does not look like a double crochet stitch to me. I may be wrong, but when I worked the double crochet across, I worked ahead because I wasn't sure about the instructions. It made the scarf a little too wide for my taste. So for this round, you can either do it the way the instructions say, or you can work a 1/2 double crochet in each stitch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work a 1/2 double crochet into the 3rd chain from hook, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a 1/2 double crochet, and I'm going to work a 1/2 double crochet in each remaining chain across. So it's up to you. You can either do it with the double crochet or the 1/2 double crochet, depending on how wide you want your scarf. To begin row 1, our instructions are telling us to put a 1/2 double crochet into the 3rd chain from hook. You're going to skip the 1st and 2nd chain, yarn over the hook, and insert into that 3rd chain. And we're going to make a 1/2 double crochet. Yarn over, pull back through that chain. You have 3 loops. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. This creates your first 1/2 double crochet stitch. Then you can either follow the instructions and do a double crochet or work a 1/2 double crochet. I am choosing to work a 1/2 double crochet. Yarn over, insert into the next chain, work a 1/2 double crochet. 1/2 double crochet into the next chain, half double crochet into the next chain, go ahead and continue and work 1/2 double crochet in each chain across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 1. I'm over at the end of row 1. When you look at your work, you worked 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across. You're going to have a total of 68 half double crochet stitches. This beginning chain 2 here does not count as a stitch. So go ahead, grab your sheet, check off number 2 because row 1 is finished. Now we're going to work the last row, step number 3. We're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across. And then we're just going to finish off and weave in our ends. So let's begin row 2. For row 2, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and you're going to turn your work. The beginning chain 2 will not count as a stitch. We're going to go right back into that first stitch and work a 1/2 double crochet. Then we're going to work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across. Yarn over, insert into that next stitch, work a 1/2 double crochet. 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch, and I'm going under the top 2 loops. 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch. 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 2. I'm over at the end of row 2. This is what your scarf should look like. You should still have the same stitch count of 68 1/2 double crochet stitches. So now we're done with our scarf, so we're going to go ahead and fasten off. And again, if you're using a yarn needle to weave in your ends, make sure you have a longer length. I chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and then use your yarn needle to weave in your ends through the back of your scarf, through the stitches, and then skip a stitch and come back a second time. If you have enough yarn, then just go through it a third time. So all our crochet pieces are finished. I'm going to check off number 3 because the scarf is finished. So now we have our scarf done, so we're going over and we're going to attach the hat next. So it says sew the hat on the head, maybe a little crooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where that seam is where I change colors right here, and I want to put that to the back of the head, right in the back center. And then it's up to you whether you want the hat in the center or if you want it off to the side like they have in the photo. So I think I'm going to go to off the side just like they have in the photo. So I'm going to try to hold my hat in place with my hand, and I want to go back to the back center of my hat, and I'm just going to insert my hook down through the hat, and then I'm going to skip about 3 stitches and come back up and just pull my needle back through. Sorry about my hand. And I'm going to leave a long length. I'm just going to leave this length hang there. And make sure when you do your next set of weaving in that you don't pull this out. Make sure you keep that longer end there. And then I'm just going to turn my snowman, trying to make sure that the hat stays where I want it. Just try to keep your hand on the hat. I'm going to come back. I'm going to skip about 2 or 3 stitches. I'm going to go down through the hat, down through the actual head of the snowman, and then I'm going to skip about 2 or 3 stitches and come back up with my yarn needle. And then you just want to pull that. And again, don't pull it so tight that you're pulling this out of your hat. And then I'm just going to keep turning my snowman and making sure that my hat is where I want it. Go down through another 1 or 2 stitches. Go down through the hat and the head of the snowman, and then skip about 2 or 3 stitches and come back up through. Then grab your needle and then pull it. And we're just going to continue in that manner around your hat until you get to the back. So go ahead and weave in and out through your stitches attaching your hat, and I'll be back and I'll show you how to knot and put your yarn in the inside of the hat so you don't see the ends. So I have my hat sewed onto my snowman. I have my beginning long length where I started, and I have the long length where I finished off. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tie a knot with the two ends. Pull tight, and then if you want to, you can tie a second knot and put it right down in there tight. And then what I'm going to do is the end that I have on my yarn needle, I'm just going to take it right underneath the hat, and I'm just going to go down through the top of the snowman's head, and then I'm just going to come back out through the snowman and through the hat. And then what you want to do is take your scissors and just clip that end. And then I'm going to take my yarn needle over. I'm going to weave this end in through the eye of my needle. And then I'm just going to go in the opposite direction with this end. I'm going to go down through the hat right into the top of the snowman's head. And I'm going to come back up through some of the black stitches here. Just pull your yarn needle out. Now, because this is already knotted, you don't have to worry about it. And then just take your scissors and just clip this end. And then once we get our nose and everything on, you can play around with the shaping of the hat and get it to where you like it. So now when you look at your instructions, the next step says sew on the nose and embroider the mouth. So when you look at the photo, use the photo for placement. We are going to add the nose right directly underneath the eyes. So we're just going to sew that nose right here. Now, looking at my snowman and looking at the photo, it looks like I might have an extra stitch in between my eyes. Well, there's nothing I can do about it now. So my nose is going to be a little bit smaller. And when you look on the picture, you can see how that nose is right centered between those eyes. And now I'm going to have a little bit of space. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to put a little bit of stuffing in this nose. It's going to be hard, and I'm going to see if I can make that nose stand out just a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little tiny bit of stuffing, and I'm going to try to really squeeze this down and see if I can get it in the nose. So I'm just going to push it right up against the nose, and this is where your crochet, the end of your crochet hook, comes in handy, and just try to get that stuffing inside that nose. So I'm just going to keep pushing down and pushing that in that nose. Just use your finger and a combination of your finger and your crochet hook, and you'll eventually get that in there. And then it just makes the nose stand out a little bit more. And then when you put the nose up, you see how that stuffing kind of made his nose just a little bit bigger, so it looks a little more like the photograph. So now I'm just going to take the end of my orange yarn, the sewing length, thread it through the yarn needle. And again, looking at the photograph, the nose is right at the base of the eyes. So they have it right about there. So that's where I'm going to sew my nose on. Now what I like to do is I like to take where I have my knot and have it right in the center, and I'm going to put it on the bottom so it's not as noticeable. So what you're going to do is try to hold the nose in place as you sew the first few stitches. So I'm just going to go down through, and what I'm doing is I don't want to come out here. You want to try to go underneath that stitch where you can't see it, so you're not seeing the ends of your yarn. So I'm just going to try to poke that through and then back out through one stitch and then through that first stitch where the loop is. And again, my yarn needle is pretty big, so it just come off the end. So let me get this first stitch in there. Then you want to pull tight, and then make sure that you're paying attention where your nose is. So my nose moved a little bit, so make sure that your nose is in place, even if you have to keep your fingers there as you're sewing the first few stitches until it stays in place. Now when you do your next stitch, try to make sure that you're going underneath. Don't come out here or you're going to see your stitch. Try to go underneath, right at the edge of the stitch. Grab one of the white stitches below and then come up and go through the next orange stitch on the nose. Let's see if I can get that. It's really hard to film and sew this on. It's so much easier to just hold this in my hand and sew it. So that is what we're going to do. And again, watch the nose and make sure that the nose is staying in place as you're sewing it to the face. So go ahead and continue. Just grab that stitch. Once you come up through the orange, then go down through the white. Grab a stitch right at the edge underneath that next stitch and then bring it over and come up through the next stitch. And then just pull your needle out and tighten that up. And you can see how it's a little bit harder to see those stitches when you sew it on that way. And again, make sure your nose doesn't come over here. Make sure that you hold it in place and keep it right in the center. So go ahead and finish sewing the nose onto your snowman, and I'll meet you when I get to the end. Now I'm just ready to pull my last stitch through. So when you get over to the end, I'm going to just pull this yarn needle. Again, my needle's a little too big for what I'm trying to do. And before you pull that last loop through, you just want to stick your needle in that loop and just pull that needle through that loop and then tighten up. And just pull tight, pull that down. And then I'm just going to go underneath the white, come back out down here in the center of the orange. And then I want to tie another knot. So I'm just going to go right into this last orange stitch. I'm just going into the orange. And then I'm going to go through that stitch, and before I pull the entire loop through, I'm going to go in through that loop, pull my yarn needle through, and it helps create a knot. Then I just want to pull tight, and then I'm just going to go right down through the nose, and then I'm going to go underneath into the face. And then I want to come up through the top of the nose. I just want to keep the orange in the orange. And then I'm just going to go in one stitch, go back through the nose, and come out the other side, just to help keep this nice and secure. And then I'm just going to fasten off my yarn. So this is what my snowman looks like so far, and we only have a couple more steps to go. So now looking at the instructions, we already sewed on the nose. Now it says to embroider the mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of pink color for his cheeks. That way I'll know a starting point and an ending point for my little smile. So what I'm going to do is I'm using some rainbow fabric markers. I'm going to use the light pink. I was afraid to use the dark pink because I didn't want to try the dark pink and have it too dark. So I'm just going to grab the light pink. Now it says these won't snag, skip, or bleed. So hopefully that's true. And again, these are fabric markers. They're not the regular markers. These are specifically for fabric. So I'm going to take my little snowman and I'm going to refer to the chart here, and I see that it's about right on the outside of the first eye down below the nose. So I'm going to say I'm going to start about right here, and I'm just going to dab it a little bit with that pink. Just give it a little bit of color in a circle. And just do it light until you get to see if you like it. So again, I'm just going to make a round circle with my marker. That looks good. Just a little bit of color. And then I'm going to go over on the other side. And I'm trying to see how to do this while I'm filming, but I want to get it in the correct spot. And then I just want to go down below this eye, so I'm going to go about right here. And I just want to make a circle. And I think it's better to use the lighter color. If you go too dark, it might be really dark and you might not like it, and then you can't get it off. So I'm just going to add a little bit more color here in the groove. Make that a little bit pinker. So I think that looks good. Just put a little rosiness in his cheeks. Now the next step is we're going to embroider our mouth onto our snowman. Now a trick I learned off of YouTube from watching another video or several videos on how to embroider the mouth, it's a nice trick to use straight pins and to form your mouth before you embroider it. So you want to see where you want your starting black. So I'm going to put mine up here a little bit into the pink. And then I'm going to grab another straight pin. I'm going to come over to the other side. And I want both sides of my mouth to be about in the same spot. And then figure out where you want the lower part of your smile to be. So I'm going to bring that down here. So actually I think I'm going to move my mouth up a little bit because I want the mouth where you can see it. If we get down too low, we're not going to see it. So I'm just going to move this up a little bit more. And then I'm going to put the base of the smile down here. Let's put that pin in there. And you can adjust these as you go. Just try to get an idea of how you want your smile to look. So I have my pins where I want to put the smile. You can make it larger, you can make it smaller, you can put it on the side, however you want to do it. So how I do it is I'm just going to come in way over here. I'm going to come in towards the base, and I'm going to come into the second straight pin that I have. You just want to pull that out where your straight pin is. Pull your pin out, push your yarn needle through, and then you want to leave a long end. So keep your long end over here. Then you're going to put your yarn needle down through where your first pin is. So insert right where your first pin is. And then you're going to go into the snowman's face, and you're going to come out where the next straight pin is. So you can just pull that straight pin out and then bring your needle right out where you have your straight pin. Now make sure that you don't pull this end through. You want to keep this long end and then just pull that. Then you're going to take your yarn needle and you're going to go over to where the first black line is, where you started your smile. You're going to go down through, push it right down through the snowman's face, and then you want to come all the way over to your next straight pin. Remove your straight pin, push your needle through, and then just pull your yarn. And I'm just using the black yarn that I used for the hat. Then you're going to take your yarn needle back over. And then you're going to take your yarn needle back over to the end of that second black strip that you made. Insert down through that end. Go down through the snowman. And then you want to come out where your other straight pin is. Just try to get it in that same spot. Then push your yarn needle through. Tighten up that yarn. Then again, you're going to take your yarn needle and come back to the end of the last line made. Insert down into the end of that line. Go down through the snowman and then come out through the last straight pin that you have. And if you have more straight pins on your snowman than I do, then just keep working in this manner until you get to the end of the last straight pin. Pull that needle through, And then I'm going to take my yarn needle. I'm going to go back over to that last little black mark I made, go down through the end, and then I'm going to come back out through this top. And then you can just see if you like the smile. So that looks pretty good to me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my yarn needle back down through right here, right at this last stitch. And then I'm going to take my needle all the way through the head, back over and come out where I have this starting yarn. So just keep poking your needle through until you find that same space where you went in. Then push your needle out. And then just look at the little smile. And then what we're going to do is tie a double knot. Tie one knot and pull it tight. And then tie one more knot, pull it tight. And then I'm just going to clip this down to where it matches the other strand of yarn. I'm going to thread both strands of yarn through my yarn needle, and then you just want to poke that back down through and just come out anywhere. Just pull that tight and you're going to see it's going to go down into the stuffing and disappear. And because you tied a double knot, you don't have to worry about cutting this off, just clip it off. So now the last thing we're going to do is put our scarf around our little snowman. So you're just going to wrap it around him and tie it right off to the side on one of the sides. You're just going to take that end and then bring it right up from the bottom through the top, and then tighten that scarf up, and then just bring it over so it lays nice. And you can fuss around with it until you get it to the way you want. So our little crocheted snowman is finished. Now everyone's snowman may look a little bit different depending on how you do things. Now I'm a really tight crocheter, so I think that's why my nose doesn't look quite like the photograph where it's right between the eyes, and I think I went one stitch too far when I added the eyes. So that is where it's up to you to judge where you want your eyes, where to put the nose, how to put your smile on, things like that, because every snowman will be unique to the person who's making it. So I want to thank Hobbii for sponsoring this video, sending me the materials and allowing me to use one of their patterns in a crochet tutorial. I hope you enjoyed part 1 and part 2 of the Crocheted Snowman, and I'd love to see your snowman. Go to our Facebook group, Creative Grandma, post those photos so I can see your snowman. So until next time, everyone, happy crocheting.